Hello everyone. Welcome back to Unikaksha's YouTube channel. This is Ashwini from Unikaksha. Friends, at Unikaksha, we always try to deliver sessions on industry demanding areas. Today also, I'm going to explain you about a very important revolution in database connectivity. So, in my last videos, I have explained you about Jdbc API. Now today we will revise Jdbc API a bit and then we will see what kind of problems the programmers has to face when they are using Jdbc API for the database connectivity. Then further we will talk more about the Spring Jdbc structure. So Spring Jdbc structure overcomes all the problems which are created when we are using the Jdbc API. So in this video, I'm going to talk much about the Jdbc structure which is provided by Spring. So let's get started. Let's first have a look on the Jdbc API. Now, what do you mean by Jdbc? So Jdbc is considered as a Java database connectivity. This is specifically used for connecting with the databases. So this is a Java API which is used to uh, connect with the database by executing the number of queries. Here it is considered as a part of Java Standard Edition. So whenever we are thinking about the database connectivity and whenever we are using Jdbc API, then we are going to use Jdbc drivers for performing this connectivity. There are number of types of Jdbc drivers which already I have explained in my last videos. So now let's understand what are the problems the programmer has to face when he is going to use this Jdbc API. But before that, let's have a look on the steps which we have to follow for connecting with the database, because the problems arises along with all these things. So the steps to connect with the database by using Jdbc API are: the very first thing you have to do, that is you have to install or locate the database you want to access. The second thing is you have to import the required Jdbc packages. Then after, you have to load the driver, because Jdbc API always connect with the database by using a specific driver. So here you have to select a specific type of driver which you want to use, and that has to be loaded. Next is you have to create the connections. Followed by that, you have to create a statement, that is you are going to write the queries for accessing the databases and execute the queries. The most important thing is you have to close the connection after performing all your transactions. So these are the steps for connecting with the databases by using Jdbc. Now, whenever we are going to use this Jdbc API, then we have to face lots of problems. Like we have to write lot of code for Jdbc API, that is for opening a connection, closing a connection, for accessing data from the databases, for calling a driver. So we have to write lots of code there. Next is we need to perform the exception handling, and uh, we have to write the code on the specific database logic. Then we have to also handle the transactions, that is for we are going to write a code for accessing the data from database, for storing the data in database, updating, and for performing all the kind of transactions. So for performing all these things, it is considered as a time consuming task. Now, before introduction of the Spring Jdbc, we were using this Jdbc API for connectivity, and it is going to create lots of problems for the users, such as time consuming. Then whenever you are using this and whenever you are trying to connect with the databases and loading the entire applications, then at that time it requires, or its speed is getting affected because of the bulky applications, or because of the heavy applications. So all these are the problems with Jdbc API, and these problems can be overcome by using the solution that is considered as a Spring Jdbc template. So let's have a look on what exactly is a Spring Jdbc template and why it is used. So Spring Jdbc template is considered as a very powerful mechanism which is used to simplify the use of Jdbc. So here it is going to use the Jdbc API internally, but it helps you to avoid the common errors which the users or we can say developers are facing while using the Jdbc API. So whenever we are using Jdbc template, then it is going to avoid all the problems which we are facing with the Jdbc API. And it is going to provide you lots of methods to write the queries directly. So it saves lots of work. And here it is also going to save lots of time as well. So whenever we are going to use Jdbc template, then it executes the core workflow, core JDBC workflow. That is nothing but it is going to internally execute the JDBC API, but it is going to eliminate lots of problems which are created by using the JDBC API. So whenever we are working with the database, so in Spring Framework, then we only need to define the connection parameters from the database and register the SQL query. That's it. Remaining work will be done by the Spring JDBC template itself. So it is going to save your time and work a lot. So now let's move on the next. These are the JDBC Spring approaches for connecting with the databases. So these are the different classes which we are using for connecting with the database. Now here, whenever you are using Spring with your Java application, then you have to follow some steps. That is, the first thing, you have to download the Spring jar files which are required for your Java application. Then once you have downloaded these jar files, then the next thing is you have to add these jar files to your Java project. It has to be connected or linked with your Java project. So you can click on add external jars, and from there you can select all the required Spring jar files and it can be included in your project. So then after, you have to create a database, and inside that database you are going to create the tables. So in the table you are going to enter the appropriate data. So these are considered as the prerequisites for using the Spring JDBC templates in your Java program. Then after, once you have created the table, once you have added data into the table, then along with the application or by using a program, you can start writing all these things. Sorry, you can start accessing the data from your table, and for that you can write the queries. So JDBC template makes this task very easy for you. This JDBC comes into number of approaches. So this is the list of approaches. We are going to learn all these one by one. The first is JDBC template. Second is named parameter JDBC template. Third is simple JDBC template, which is considered as a traditional way. And fourth is simple JDBC insert and JDBC call. So one by one, we are going to learn a brief about all these things. So whenever we are considering JDBC template class, then it is going to take care about the creation and releases of sources. So it is not going to lead any kind of problem if you have forget to close the connection. So these problems we face in JDBC API, because if you forget to close the connection, then it creates some kind of problems. So it will not happen here, because it is going to take care about the creation and release of the sources, that is of the tables or databases from where you are going to access the data. This is considered as a base class which is going to manage the entire processing of all the events and database connections, such as you can create, it is not necessary for you to create and close the connection object, which is again considered as a most important task for connecting with the databases. This JDBC template class is going to handle the exceptions and also provides you some informative exception messages by using the exception classes. These exception classes are defined in the org.springframework.dao package. So this is all about the JDBC template class. Now, as I told you, JDBC template class is going to reduce your work a lot, and it is going to save your time. So here one table is mentioned which will show you what kind of tasks the developer has to do and what tasks the Spring framework is going to provide for you. So this is the list of tasks. Whenever you are deciding to create any kind of databases, or you're deciding to connect your application with the databases by using JDBC, then these are the primary tasks which you have to perform. So the very first task is you have to define the connection parameters. This task is performed by the developer. The second thing, that is you must have to open the connection. The Spring is going to perform this task for you. Next is you have to specify the SQL statement. So developer is going to perform this task. Followed by that, you have to declare the parameters and provide the parameter values. So this task is also performed by the developers. Now the remaining tasks, like prepare and execute the statement, process any exception. If any exception causes, then it has to be processed automatically. Then next is handle the transactions, and then next is close the connection statement and result set. So all these four important tasks are performed by your Spring. It is not necessary for you to perform all these tasks, because all these things are automatically done by your Spring application. So isn't it amazing? That is, here you are not going to work much for getting the result. So you are going to work less, and the results will be displayed in front of you very quickly. Then next approach, that is Spring named parameter JDBC template. So whenever you are thinking about this, then this is considered as another way for inserting the data by using a named parameter. Now, what is the meaning of this? So instead of question mark, you are going to use the names here for inserting data into the table. So it is considered as very better approach to remember the data for a specific column. Now here one example is given. So we are going to insert the values into student table. So the values are represented like ID, name, and class. So this is how it will work. Next is considered as a simple JDBC template. So this simple JDBC template is considered as the combination of old JDBC template and some new features of Java 5. So it is going to support for all the features of old JDBC template, and it is also going to support for new features of Java 5, such as variable arguments or auto boxing. These two are considered as, again, most important features. So variable arguments and auto boxing is supported by your simple JDBC template. This simple JDBC template is used when you don't require all features of JDBC template. If you require very specific features of JDBC template, then you can go with this simple JDBC template. This is like a simpler API, and basically the construct to support Java 5. So this is the next approach. The next is JDBC, simple JDBC insert and simple JDBC call. So simple JDBC classes are going to provide the easy way to configure and run the SQL statements or SQL queries. So these two classes use database metadata to build basic queries, because here we are not going to build the queries, and automatically this task can be performed for us. So simple JDBC insert and simple JDBC call, these are the two classes which provides easier way to run, insert, and store the stored procedure calls. So it is going to work with the insert operation, run operation, and stored procedure calls as well. Here, the insert statement is generated which is based on the configuration of simple JDBC insert. So what we have to do is we just have to provide the table name, column names, and the values. That's it. Our task is completed. Then all the remaining tasks will be performed by JDBC insert and JDBC call. So what we are going to provide, we supposed to provide table name, column names, and the values. So all this was about the Spring JDBC structure and its different approaches which we can use for writing the applications. So this was all about the introductory part of Spring JDBC structure. Here in today's video, we learned about the JDBC API, then the steps which we have to follow for using JDBC API. Followed by that, I explained you about what kind of problems we are going to face when we are using JDBC API. And we have seen how the JDBC Spring JDBC template is going to overcome all these problems. So after that, we have seen the approaches of JDBC template in Spring. So I hope you understood about all these things. Now in my next video, I'm going to explain you about the IOC. So stay tuned with us at Unikaksha. Till then, thank you so much.